My name is Beth, and I'm back today to record another live tarot reading for you guys. I originally, though, when I woke up this morning, I woke up and I was like, something's wrong. Like the energy is just does not feel right. Um, there's a lot going on right now in the world, and that does play a huge part of it. I went on Twitter and I was like, just like confirm. It just basically confirmed how I felt, and so this is going to be kind of like one of those things where I read, but I also pull some cards or pull some rune stones or pull some charms and do kind of like what I would call like a freestyle reading. So this is like a freestyle reading because I want to talk to people about the energies and how they feel right now mostly. Like I want to connect to people um in the chat, if people come on and start to chat with me. So it might not happen like because this is in the middle of the day, people might be busy, but I'm hoping that some people will get into the chat and we'll start to chat. And it's important to have a conversation. I feel like that's really what I came on for. Like I wanted to really talk about the energies and what's going on, and um yeah, just have that conversation. Because I woke up and I was like, yeah, no, things are not right now. And everybody, that's intuitive or empathic just kind of knows that things are not right now, you know? And I can't pretend that things are right, I'm not going to pretend that things are right. So to kind of get started, there's no one, it doesn't look like anybody's in the chat. But I'm gonna see maybe if I pull a path. I'm gonna pull a path and pull a card. And let's see. Pulled another card. And I'm gonna pull a rune stone. And another rune stone. And maybe I've got stuff all over my table, sorry. Maybe yeah, basically what I'm on here today to do is I'm on here today to just check out what's going on, like what the hell is going on. And I kind of know, but I want to see it. So I'm going to pull some runes. I mean, some charms. And maybe from my one card from my Trees Oracle deck. And okay, so I'm going to start to show you guys what I pulled, okay? And so the first card that I pulled from my Oracle deck is Wellness. The second card I pulled from one of my other Oracle decks is the Stag. And for my Trees Oracle, I pulled the Apple. And the rune stones that I pulled were this guy. It's weird because I don't know how to face it with the camera to get it to show the way it came out. But this guy also. I pulled the turtle charm. I pulled my Love, Luck, and Blessings charm with the ladybugs. I pulled my steering wheel ship charm. I pulled the feather. charm, and I pulled this token, which I found, which was cool, and it's a token from the Space Needle in Seattle. It's this token, it's hard to see, but it shows the Space Needle on it. And the path that I pulled is the pyramid. Okay. Okay, so the pyramid path is a path that represents a crumbling or a dissolving of structures. Sometimes this is fast, sometimes this is slow. This can also indicate a relationship also, or previous plans, previous desires. So it's really weird. Today, the energy feels like it's very slippery. Like it's worse than the pyramid. To me is like similar to the beach because it has that sandy desert like energy, but the beach path has more of like a water quality. The pyramid path has more of like a desert quality, more of a dry quality, but it's like that sand going through the hourglass kind of thing, and it's a dissolving, the pyramids are slowly dissolving, that they're slowly eroding. So to me, it's about things that fizzled out, maybe changing realities or due to high stress. This can indicate moving a bunch, or moving because of personal choices. This is really interesting because to me, the pyramid path indicates a shift in reality in which sometimes can happen when you've moved, or when things shift a great deal, or when you're under stress. And the reality, it's like the reality of your life is changing. Like the reality of life changes or shifts into some degree. This can also indicate timeline shifting and like feelings of deja vu, or this can also indicate connecting with like past life experiences. I haven't yet talked really too much about this path in any of my other videos, and it's interesting because I've been trying to record every single day. But this is the path about ascension and being awoken and learning who you really are. It's a path about discovery, doing healing work, and releasing and purging will be a theme. So be mindful of people who show up to trigger you emotionally. On this path, you are here to break the pattern, break the curses, release the karma. That is if you are willing. It's not easy, and you may cry a lot or have a challenging time being happy due to external situations, things not going to plan, or feeling like you just can't get a break. And it's interesting because that's the energy I woke up with this morning. I was like, something has to break. Something has to change. Something has to shift because it just feels so heavy, toxic, bad. I don't know. It's hard because I'm an empath and I feel things for myself, but I also feel things for the collective. And I feel on the collective level, this is what needs to happen. Like, it's a feeling of like, like for me, for example, I feel like I've done everything I could possibly do. I've done everything that I could possibly do, and it's time for a miracle. That's kind of how I feel in general. I feel like it's time for a miracle. I've done everything I could possibly do. I've written out things as far as they could go. I've done the best that I could do. It's sort of like that energy of feeling like you do the best that you can in life, and like we're all doing the best that we can in life. And if you come to a point in which nothing is really working, or nothing is shifting, nothing's changing, then it's time for a miracle or it's time for a breakthrough, or it's time for something to happen that shifts the reality so that you're no longer in that, so that things open up. The universe has a way of unfolding. And when it's not unfolding, when things are moving really slow, and that's the turtle, like that's this very slow, dense, heavy energy, it can be quite painful. So depending on who you are and where you are in the world and what you're going through, you may feel like things are moving incredibly slowly, but you may also have a dissolving of structures or dissolving a way of things in your life that may happen actually rather fast. Um, Things not like the plans that you make may be broken, and it's interesting because I had a client scheduled for later, and they just canceled. So it's like, okay, I in some way I knew that today was going to be the day of the energy being really fucked. I just felt that way. I was like, it's just very, I don't like this energy, bottom line. Um, okay, so I wrote, for this path, it's about time healing everything. It's about, the longer you struggle, the more beautiful and awakened you will be, and your light will be very bright. It may be truly remarkable to be able to control things and have things stay the same on this path. The dissolving effect is so strong. It goes against our culture to let go and not be building and collecting and spending and working in our capitalist society. Avoid living like a hermit and working a mundane job, as the shifts you go through on this path won't allow you to keep a low profile. The challenge is to shine your light, even in the midst of chaos. Be stable within yourself and know that every door you walk through, you've been there before, and everything will be all right. This is the connection to Andromeda, the Egyptian gods, and the Aries Libra axis in astrology. I also feel a very strong Scorpio Taurus energy. The turtle is the Taurus, but that's a slow, lumbering energy. Scorpio also, any of the fixed signs also, but again, this is more collective energy. Let me make sure I've got my live chat. It doesn't look like anybody's in there right now. So I'm just going to continue on where I was going with things. And if people, a lot of times, when people do live recordings, it's hard for me to, like, I enjoy watching them after, if that makes sense for me. I like watching live recordings done after. Like I said, I showed up today just to see if anybody popped into the chat and if there was anybody who felt similar energies today. Really, that's why I came on here. So I want to talk about the apple. To me, this is the apple. The apple tree is it's a very beautiful, beautiful card. And I feel a very strong connection to the apple tree. The funny thing about this to me card has so many meanings. I could talk about this card all day, but like the first thing that came to my mind was the abundance, the obvious connection to money and abundance and having all that you need, and like one tree being able to provide so much. And maybe you're the person that is providing for your family right now, or maybe you're a single person trying to make it in a world on your own. Or maybe you've struggled to have enough at times, and other times you've had more than enough. To me, the apple tree is showing up to help people who are struggling with their abundance issues. So call on the apple tree. You can say out loud, I call in the apple tree, and I allow in money to flow once again. I call in the apple tree to help. And I allow money to flow once again and ask the apple tree to help. Anything like that you say out loud. Some people struggle with words. They struggle to say these things out loud. But you have to be specific enough so that the energy understands what you're trying to say. And most of the time the universe does, but not always. So it's important to say things out loud, allowing in the apple tree to help, calling in the apple tree. calling in the abundance, allowing in the abundance, allowing it in, things like that. This is also very clear. It's coming through very clearly about people who have issues with reciprocity. There are people that tend to give a lot and not receive a lot. And to me, this is like a healthy balance of giving and receiving. The apple tree spirit also has to do with being generous to people who might not be generous to you, and being mindful of how much you're taking, being mindful of taking more than your share, being mindful of how much you're saving, how much you're spending, being mindful of allowing people to help you, allowing in the reciprocity, allowing in someone to show up to say, here, I have this gift for you, or I have this money for you. To me, this is a basket, and it is a gift. To me, there's something about a gift here. Something that may be handmade. If you're into crafts, if you're into basket making or any kind of things that you're handmade, please reach out to me, because I am obsessed with Etsy. I have my own Etsy shop, and I really want to partner with people this year. Like, my goal this year, one of the goals was to partner with people more on Etsy, help more people get their handmade items out there. So please, email me about it. You can also send me stuff, and I'll post it on my Instagram, and let you know that I received it and stuff like that. So there's something about that here. But the reciprocity issue is big. Giving and receiving, that's huge. This is also about being generous to people, again, or tolerating. Okay, so the word tolerating people who you may not like, being spiritually generous. To me, that so there's something about a spiritual generosity. Okay, so that's coming through. It's so the words, the thought counts. If you think of giving something to someone, it does count. It's the thought that counts. That's coming through, because that's spiritual generosity. That means if you could give something to someone, you absolutely would. It's spiritual generosity. And a lot of people, I think a lot of people, they want to be more giving, but they can't. And it's interesting. I think it's interesting that there's a lot of givers out there who would give more, but they can't. And the funny thing is the reason they can't is because they don't value themselves, and they have a reciprocity issue. They don't love themselves enough to allow in people to give them something, which would then help them give more to others. This stag. Okay, so let's talk about the stag card. Okay, so the stag card is, to me, about thriving during a time which is challenging. And again, right now it's hard to get through this energy, because this is very challenging, very, very, especially today. There's something going on today that's in the collective. It's a very tough energy. It's very harsh. It's hard energy. And it's hard to trust, that you're going to get through a time that's that hard. It's hard to trust people during this time. Some of you have trust issues, I'm getting a tingle on that. So some of you maybe just have a difficult time, trusting other people. And maybe that's where this generosity thing is coming from too. Or this energy about tolerating people that you don't like. I'm not getting it, like my mind's gone blank on that, so I'm not getting any more on that, okay? So the wellness card, okay, so the wellness oracle card that's showing up here is about taking care of yourself. And it's strangely, it does coincide with the apple card because the wellness thing, the thing about taking care of yourself, not getting too out of balance, eating right, sleeping right, and stuff like that, that's all very important at this time, you know? And the reason is because if we deplete our energies to a certain point, we're giving everything out, we have nothing left for ourselves. And I want to say something here, okay? This is very important. I put my videos, there's 1,100 videos on my channel. And for like the last several years, I think there's only like 400. I made a lot of them private, okay? And the funny thing is that I didn't understand back in the day, my channel probably would have gone, blown up huge had I had all of those videos available, but I was kind of embarrassed of the older ones because I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like, how the lighting was. I was very self-critical. And recently I was like, I'm just going to put them back up there because, it's the work that I did and I'm proud of the work that I did. And I can look back and I can say, I'm proud of that work. And no one can say that I didn't do those or that I'm not producing or that I'm not being creative or that I'm not being, or that it's not worth it to help me because I'm not producing, because someone did say that. They said they weren't going to, why should they donate if I'm not producing? And I have produced 1,100 videos, more than 1,100 videos. And I think it's 1,165 or something like that. Or maybe, I don't know. And not everything is, some of them were, recordings that were private, and some of them are ones that I need to go back and look at because I did a long time ago. And some of them, will just remain private. But the thing is that, I depleted myself severely during that period of time in which I was recording that many videos. And I didn't really understand at that time my limits. And I, lost my voice in 2016 for 3.5 months. And I'm a person that can resonate with the giving too much because even on this channel, I absolutely did. You can look back and say, okay, well, there's 1,100 videos that she put her heart and soul into and her energy into. I don't know. I don't know why I'm saying that. It's just an example of giving too much. That's the bottom line. If you're a YouTuber and you're recording all the time, you might be giving too much energy. You might have also, some of you might have been putting your energy into things which there isn't a return on. It's not an equal return, For some of you, it's not being paid enough in a job, or, you may be working, but you might not be seeing any return on that. Just so you guys know, I'm not able to monetize these videos. So all of these videos that I've been doing live are free. And because my channel is not, for some crazy reason, I'm not able to monetize. So any donations at this time, I posted on Twitter that, for the month of February, it's just kind of an uphill climb. It has been an uphill climb, especially for my rent and my bills. So any donation, big or small, is so appreciated at this time. You can donate through PayPal. You can donate through Venmo. You can donate through the Cash App. The links are all on my website, oracledaphne.com. You can also donate and say, what, I'm not able to book a reading, but I want to book one later. And I will make a little note that says, like a little IOU that says I will, I can book later in time if you'd like to. Okay, so let's talk about these. Well, I was going to talk about these charms, like the love, luck, and blessings. is it came out. And the love, luck, and blessings is to me where it is about blessings in itself, where there may be some blessings that come through that are unexpected. To me, the ladybug represents unexpected blessings, an unexpected, thing that happens that's just really great, that's positive. It might be in love, it might be in finances, it might be a gift of cash or a gift of some other kind. Any blessing, anything that you would consider to be a blessing, is going to come through. But usually it's an unexpected blessing. When this shows up, it's unexpected. I also feel like you're going to communicate with someone. The feather came out, and the feather is having a conversation. To me, this is a phone call. This could be a phone call. This could be a text message. This could be email, but most of the time it's a phone call. There are other feathers that I have. The feathers equal communication, and the large feather to me equals a phone call, a major piece of communication, something that maybe you're expecting, or maybe you get the call back on something, or maybe someone reaches out to you and has an important conversation. This is an important conversation. It's a major thing. If you're waiting to having a conversation with someone in a relationship, this is having a phone conversation or a conversation in person. This is an important conversation. Going back to my little Seattle token, usually if you live in the Pacific Northwest, this might be literally where you're going into Seattle. I may be taking some time and going into Seattle. I've been waiting for the snow to melt and things like that. So, this is applicable for me, but if you live in the Pacific Northwest in the Seattle area, you may literally be in Seattle. You may be taking a trip to Seattle, or you may be taking a trip west somewhere. To me, the direction is west because Seattle is west from here. So to me, it's the Pacific Northwest. You may be spending time in the Pacific Northwest also. But this also represents fun. It's a token. It represents fun, doing things that are fun, touring of some kind. Maybe it's, going to a place where you're touring. Maybe it's like visiting ancient ruins, or like a medieval type castle, or doing fun things that you would need to pay for a ride, so you pay like some money to take a little train ride somewhere, maybe a train ride through the mountains, or maybe it's like you pay a little bit to get like some food at a vendor, or like a food truck, or like you're doing little things. It's a little bit carnival, and it's like a little bit like doing things like a touristy type things. To me, this is like a touristy type thing, where you're spending money to take a ride. You're spending money to buy some food, or to go out to dinner, and it's fun, and you're having an experience. At the Space Needle, the coolest part I think of the Space Needle was going up to the top and taking pictures from the top and having that whole perspective. So you may be like going someplace and like going up very high somewhere, like even like, for instance, like in Chicago, like there's the John Hancock building, going up there. I know in Dubai, like if you're like all the way in Dubai, you may be taking like going up to these very high buildings and looking down through the glass. There's all these cool glass things in Dubai. I don't know why I thought of that, but that, where maybe this is a shift in perspective. You're getting a higher perspective on things, but also to me literally it's more of like doing tourist type stuff, and enjoying it, like enjoying yourself, maybe taking the family and doing some tourist type things, walking around, holding hands, maybe taking the baby in the stroller, getting out of the house. This is what's needed. To me, it's a little bit of fun. It's a little bit of fun, and it's important. Because we have this indicates travel. This indicates moving, but it also indicates travel. Because we have the token with it, I don't necessarily know if it's actual move. It feels more about travel to me than anything. Okay, so going back to this turtle, I wanted to talk about this turtle. The turtle for me came up during a time when I lived in Virginia and things were moving very slowly then. And was very painful for me then. And I wasn't able to get things into alignment. I couldn't get my ducks in a row because things were going just so slowly. And I was scrimping and saving and sleeping on the floor, and it sucked so bad. And I didn't like that time. I didn't like that time. I look back at that time in my life in which it was incredibly painful for me as a person. And I wanted to die at that time. I thought about giving up a lot, like just giving up completely and just being like, okay, fuck it. I didn't like that time. I didn't like the energy of that time. And I don't like things that go really, really slowly or like finances that kind of move slowly because to me, it reminds me of that time so badly. And to me, this is hardship of some kind, money issues of some kind, where you're just maybe not making enough. You're just literally not making enough. Maybe it's not enough to make your ends meet. Some of you, you may not even have a job. You might not be working, but there's something about not making enough or making enough to make all of the ends meet that you need to meet. Maybe you can pay some bills, but not other bills. Things like that. Okay, looking at the runestones. This is what I came on here for, guys. Let's see. I always look in the book at the runestones because the runestones, I haven't fully identified with them yet, meaning like I haven't learned them like the tarot. It's sort of like a work in progress with me in the runes. I want to do, okay, so I'm going to do this rune first and see what it says. Oh, that's the gateway rune. And it's in reverse. Gateway is in reverse, which is probably why it feels so fucking slow. Okay. Oh, wow. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, it says, actually, okay, I'm going to read to the page. I read a page which was not the right one, but I flipped to it anyway. So it says, at this time, it says, be particularly attentive to personal relationships. At this time, ruptures are more likely than reconciliations. An effort may be required to keep your good humor. Whatever happens, how you respond to it is up to you. The requirements for your growth may totally disrupt what you had intended. Desired outcomes may elude you. And yet, what you regard as detours, inconveniences, disruptions, blockages, and even failures and deaths will actually be rerouting opportunities, with union and reunion as the only abiding destinations. Interesting. Okay, so that one was actually for a different rune, but I flipped to that page, and I feel like it resonates with the energy that I'm picking up. And it's about communication, the journey rune, Rado. That was the rune. Okay, so to me, yeah, so disruptions, plans not going according to plan, but it's about rerouting. And the thing to me is like, yeah, like why are we getting rerouted at this time? Like the wiring seems messed up. Like this whole day, the wiring is just messed up. But if the destination, like if we eventually get to a time where we're reuniting with someone, or there's a reunion of some kind, or there's some kind of coming back together after things have broken apart, then I think whatever this rerouting thing is, it's kind of short-lived. Like things can't be broken forever. They just can't. Because ultimately, ascension, going back to that whole ascension thing, with ascension, we're always coming back together. We're always moving towards a together energy of merging, of getting back to the source. So even if we're broken for a period of time, it just is not going to last. But during that time, it can be very painful. And that in that brokenness, a lot of shit can happen and a lot of things can go down, which is why things are not exactly the best in the world right now. Yeah. There are some days, okay? There are some days in the astrological calendar in which I honestly don't resonate with. And they are days in which if bad shit is going to happen, it's going to go down on one of those days. I think today is one of those days. You know? Sometimes it is better not to leave the house on certain days. And for me, I know some of those days. I don't know all of those days, but it's just like, I just don't like the energy on some days. Okay, so going back. Oh, I need to read what the actual page was. Going back to the gateway. Okay, so the gateway rune, which is in reverse, it says a quickening of your developments is indicated here. It says, yet even in times of accelerated growth, you will have reason to halt along the way, to reconsider the old, to integrate the new. Take advantage of these halts. If you are undergoing difficulties, remember, the nature of your passage depends upon the quality of your attitude, the clarity of your intention, and the steadfastness of your will. Be certain that you are not suffering over your suffering. Drawing this rune demands contemplation on your part. Hasty decisions at this time may cause regrets, for the probability is that you will act from weakness and deceive yourself about your motives and create new problems more severe than those you are attempting to resolve. Impulses must be tempered by the thought for correct procedure. Do not attempt to go beyond where you haven't yet begun. So it's sort of, to me, this is like about not putting the cart before the horse kind of thing. It says, yeah, be still, collect yourself, and wait on the will of heaven. Some of it is just, to me, it's about needing to not act too hastily. And again, it's hard when the energy is very slow moving because you're going to want to do that. I mean, there's just like hasty, wanting to just be, I don't know, impulsive. When I was reading about the nature of your passage, I get really emotional when I read that, or I felt a lot of emotions when I read that, because it does indicate to me, it feels like suffering. It feels like there's some suffering. And there may be a great amount of suffering. And to me, when I read that, to me, it's sort of like the thing that we have a difficult time with in life, I think, is manifesting what we want. Yeah, and reacting to things, and functioning out of an ego place, or functioning out of a place of selfishness. And it's really hard sometimes to be clear. Like, it's very hard to be clear about what it is we want. It's very hard to stay clear so that we are clear with everybody. And it's very hard to stay, like, not in a space of reactiveness, to respond rather than to react. It's really hard at this time, on this day, specifically, to have a positive attitude. Like, I felt like this morning, I was like, I woke up and I was like, I don't have a positive attitude. Like in the back of my mind, I was like, I was in a bad mood. And normally it's not like that for me. Like I don't wake up that way. I wake up feeling sort of neutral, usually. Neutral, like it's more of like I'm very in touch with like my bodily needs in the morning. Everything sort of feels painful in the morning, but it's not, it's very rarely where I wake up and I'm like fuck everything. Like it's just, it doesn't usually happen for me that way. Usually I'm uh very attentive to my physical needs in the morning. I'm more physical. I'm more of like a lump of clay in the morning. It's like my emotional responses and my overall mood are shut down. I'm just a living, breathing human being in the morning. But then later during the day, my mood, or my attitude is sort of, depends on, a lot of factors. I'm usually more even keel about life if things are a certain way. I don't know how to explain that. Anyways, so there's that. And then the last one was the flow. We got to get to the flow one. The flow, 127. Okay, so this is the flow, this is water. This is the ebb and flow of emotions, the laguz. I can't really okay. That's the name of the rune. It says it encourages you to immerse yourself in the experience of living without having to evaluate or understand. Oh, I love this. Okay, it says it speaks to the satisfaction of emotional needs, to the awakening of the intuitive or lunar side of your nature. For while the sun strives for differentiation, the moon draws us towards union and merging. This rune often signals a time for cleansing, reevaluating, reorganizing, realigning. A rune of deep knowing, it may call you to study spiritual matters and readiness for self-transformation. Success now lies in contacting your intuitive wisdom and attuning to your own rhythms. A rune of the self relating rightly to the self signifies what alchemists call the conjunctio, or sacred marriage. It is the end where the hero and heroine live happily ever after. Huh. Again, there's something about reunion and reunion here. Something about union. So some of you may be married. Some of you may be looking for Mr. or Mrs. Right. Getting a tingle on that. Some of you may believe in happily ever after. I think the complicated part about this rune to me, because it feels like the moon card, like it's showing me the moon when I'm thinking about it, and the moon can be confusing, especially if there's like an emotional connection to someone that doesn't really make rational sense. I'm going to pull one more card just to see. You got the Love's Offering, which is actually not a tarot card. And you got the Page of Wands, which is a very positive card. It's a lot about music, musical abilities. This whole thing about happily ever after is weighing very heavily on me. I don't know why. I can't explain it. It weighs very heavily on me. It feels complicated. It feels like, for some, that would be like there's like an ideal or romanticism or some element of a dream. And for some, like it's what you're always going for or wanting for, but not quite achieving. There's something that's very, um, on the one hand, those of you who are married, you've already kind of tied the knot and solidified things. Whoops. As I said that, my arm slipped. So maybe it's not so solid. um, some of you are very lonely. Some of you may be in a relationship and still lonely. I feel like you're going to get a call from someone. This is where I've started to fragment. I feel like I've talked a lot. No one showed up to the chat. That's okay though. Hopefully people will watch back later. And just gonna check the messages to make sure. And I'm gonna try to do a live reading on Instagram soon here. So maybe we can chat about the energies in there if you missed it here. I send everybody big hugs, big kisses. And I will talk to you guys again soon. All right, take care. All the best. Bye.